Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand Thursday night. And finally, we have something to talk about that's going to happen on the pitch because an awful lot's been going on off the pitch recently. I think we're tired of it. But as you well know, more and more and more each day, we're going to be talking about stuff off the pitch again tonight, as well as the game tomorrow night, because we finally do have a game to get our teeth into. Joining me tonight, we've got Alex. Alex, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. How about yourself?
Beth, we've been busy recently. We've done, I can't remember how many shows now we've done, and we've covered a lot. We're about to get in it again tonight, but you've had a day off. Did you rest up well and get ready for another episode of What is the United Soap Opera?
Yeah, I'm ready to speak about it. And honestly, I'm ready for us to actually play a game of football. I'm looking forward to tomorrow and getting down to Old Trafford and actually watching us play. And hopefully it'll be a good start to the next month of games that we've got coming up.
Yeah, that's it. Alex, I didn't see you on deadline day. I've not seen you for a few days, mate. So I've not got your full opinion on how everything went down. I'm guessing very similar to how the rest of the crew saw a deadline day finish. But let's get straight into it. Let's get into Jesse Lingard. We've seen a lot of stories about players' unrest at the football club, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse with stories coming out. There's a player there who didn't want to be at the football club. The manager didn't want him at the football club. The fans didn't want him at the football club. And now he still doesn't want to be at the football club because it's a perfect opportunity for him to get game time. And he doesn't want to be available. He said, can I have the weekend off? Having just had, a week in Dubai, 2 weeks off, not played all season. Is this guy a professional footballer, mate? Or am I being too harsh on him here, thinking that he has been ill-treated and misinformed? But he has to take it as it is. He's a professional. And he said he doesn't want to be available for selection this weekend. It's a tough one to call, and you can look at it from a couple of sides, mate. But the way deadline day finished, it kind of put all United fans on the side of, I'm just fed up with this guy and whatever comes out of his mouth right now. But how are you looking at it from Lingard's view, from the club's view, fans' view? Can you see why?
Well, this is a similar situation, isn't it, to what happened with Martial, and everyone turned on Martial for it. So I hope it likewise happens to Lingard. If it is true, it comes out it is true. But we obviously don't know what happens behind the scenes. But by what his brother put out, what was it last week or 2 weeks ago about the jail sentence or day release, there's clearly a lot of ill feeling that we can't really get back off. He definitely, let's get it straight, he definitely would have gone if the stuff that happened didn't happen. So he was leaving, but you have to kind of feel sorry for him, because I guess Ollie promised him when he came back in the summer that he was going to get game time. And then when he had the odd cameo, I know he messed up in the what was it, Young Boys game, where he passed it back and cost us the game. But apart from that, in the West Ham game, he saved us. And then there was another game that he got an assist in the small game time that he was getting. And then he just hasn't got a sniff. And you'd think when Rangnick came in that his sort of play style, the high pressing, high energy tempo, that would be ready made for Lingard, but it just doesn't seem to be the case. And then it's with his best position, really, in my opinion, is in that number 10 role, which obviously when you have Bruno, which we don't even play with number 10 anymore, but back in the early days when you have Bruno, he's not going to get a look in. So I wonder now that he is actually part of the squad, I don't feel he can do that good of a job as a winger, even though we are light there. But I was thinking today earlier that there was it was maybe it was last World Cup for England, and for a lot of England games he did play in that in the midfield rather than further forward, as when we played a 4-3-3 that he was at one of the eights. So I wonder, because we're mega light in midfield as well, if he'll potentially play there. But I just think he'll barely get any chances still for the rest of the season. And if he's acting like that, then you have to question. Everyone had the knives out, like I said, for Martial, saying, I'll never let him play for the club again. So then I understand that argument. But then with all the stuff that's happened, and then with Martial going, Ahmad going, and Greenwood obviously going, it's we are so light in attack that it's you can't really afford to have that sort of mindset. But it's just a bad thing for the club that we have a player that doesn't want to play that we could potentially desperately need if the likes of Sancho or Rashford get injured.
Well, this is it, Beth. Alex mentioned Sancho there, another player who hasn't been in the team recently for personal reasons. There seems to be a lot going on in the lives of nearly every single United player at the moment, it seems. I know Elie Bellaire's talking about the mental health side of things, and we all know that he has struggled through this, but it wasn't too long ago he was singing and dancing on the pitch at West Ham. I'm not going to move, and I don't think the mental side of it should be brought into this here. He's obviously, he got past that. He said he got past that. He was in a better place. He went to Everton. He enjoyed his time at Everton and asked to leave. Quite clearly does not want to be at the football club. Ralf spoke about it today, and he clearly said that a decision was made by the board, Beth. We spoke about this in depth. It does feel like the board is pretty much running every single part of this football club at the moment. And from that interview I took from Ralf today it's like he's just being told what to say again. That's what it looks like. He has to answer the exact right way for the club and how they want things to come out and be portrayed out in the public. Lingard, for me, him not wanting to be in this team today, this weekend, tomorrow, sorry. It's like he doesn't want to be at the club. The board say you're staying. Ralf doesn't want him there. Then Ralf gets told by the player himself, I don't want to be available for this weekend. We talked about Ralf's hands being tied behind his back. I mean, you might as well dunk him in water as well, Beth, and stick him under, because he's just absolutely, I say it's a famous saying, but pissing in the wind right now with his team, Beth. He really is. And I'm trying to figure out how we can sort this out. But while these players are here, we hear the likes of Cavani's not fit and he's brought in the jet lag side of it and everything like that. But it just seems like it feels like it's out of control with the whole squad right now, Beth. And it's story after story after story. And we're going to get into Ronaldo later on in the show as well. But in terms of this, I mean, it's like the impossible job we spoke about the other day. But with Lingard, how are you seeing it right now? Have you got any sympathy for him at all in all of this? I mean, we know what happened on deadline day, Beth, but surely the professionalism has to kick in at some point, does it not?
Well, it's exactly like what we were saying on deadline day. For me, having a player in your squad, never mind, I know we're thin because of the Greenwood situation and Martial and Ahmad going out on loan, but it doesn't matter. If a player's not on board with playing for United, they don't want to play for United, they're not on board with Ralph's vision for the club, and they know that they're leaving anyway in the summer, they don't want to play for United anymore, that's worse than actually just not having the player, because it sinks down a lot of mentality. It sinks the mentality. The team togetherness isn't quite as there, and it just isn't good for team morale whatsoever if you have a player in the dressing room that clearly isn't up for it. It really isn't. You want every player to be there fighting for the shirt and wanting to play every game and having that mentality of winning things and the ambition to kick on, and having someone there that doesn't. It's like when I said I didn't want Martial to leave, but if you didn't have the ambition to play for United, there's no point in having them in and around the team. There's just not. So this is why the board shouldn't be making decisions and why the manager should be making decisions, because Ralf knows about football, clearly agrees with that. Jesse doesn't want to play, and we know what Ralf thinks, because if players have said they don't want to play or they're not 100% committed, he's not played them no matter what this season. So he's on board with that, and he said Jesse could leave, even though he knows his squad's probably running thin, especially in the attacking line. Yet the board, who don't know anything about football, again, they're thinking about money, thinking about bringing someone in, replacements, etc., etc. They thought, we'll just keep Jesse Lingard for cover. It doesn't work like that. They're not robots, they're human beings. And if he doesn't want to play for Man United, no matter what you're paying for him, 100% there's professionalism there. But Ralph's not going to want to pick him because he's not 100% there no matter what. So again, board making decisions have shot themselves in the foot, because it's a stupid decision to make. And this is why you should be allowing the manager and the people that you've employed to be part of football to make these decisions. And on him taking a break, I think, I'm not going to lie, I don't agree with it whatsoever. Like, if you're a football player, all you'd want to do is play football. Literally all you'd want to do. Like, I remember when I played football, and I was at every match you just want to play. And I know it's a different circumstance, these professional players, but surely if that is your passion and what you want to do, you would want to do that. And especially despite what's happened recently, I would have assumed he'd probably get time in the Middlesbrough game, possibly. He has a chance to prove that and get game time more than he does now. Like, he just sits on the bench every single game. He has a little chance of being brought on as a super sub, getting into the team possibly. But again, by doing this, I doubt Ralph's ever going to pick him again, because he's not going to want someone who doesn't want to play. So he's ruined his chances of getting seen by Southgate for the England squad anyway by not wanting to play this weekend. And at the end of the day, it's not Ralph's fault, it's the board's fault. I completely understand why he's annoyed if he wanted to leave. I understand that, but to refuse to play I don't agree with that at all. I think there's got to be an element of professionalism, and no matter what, it's still Manchester United and it's still the club that you play for and you've played for before, and you should want to go out there and prove your worth as a player, surely.
That's it. I mean, is this not why Ralf didn't want him in the club in the first place, Alex, for decisions like this weekend? All of a sudden, it's like first game we've had since the board decided to keep Lingard because he's an important player and he's played 2 games. We've seen the statement, but straight away, Ralph's dealing with a player who's told him he doesn't want to be available for this weekend. This is why Ralf has said you can go. And the board have kind of threw him under the bus with it. It's a perfect... Sorry, then I knocked someone over then. It's a perfect example, isn't it?
Yeah, like I personally don't like. We don't know obviously what's going on behind the scenes, but he must be causing some issues behind the scenes, because to me it makes absolutely no sense that when all the stuff came out of the last week, that why Ralf agreed to let him go anyway. I was happy for once the board did make a smart footballing decision, because, like I said, if we lose Rashford or Sancho or Elanga, we are so light up top. So we didn't have a choice, like whether he plays or not. But then you have to then balance it with the case. Okay, is he actually causing a negative influence? Which, to be fair, unlike his track record, like you said about like the dancing and stuff, he normally seems like a positive guy. I know he has had his issues in the past, but it doesn't strike me as the sort of player that would have these issues. But then you can say, could it have like a knock-on effect? Because obviously he's such good friends with Rashford. Could it then affect Rashford? He's really good friends with Pogba. Could it affect Pogba? And then so you wonder that that negativity spread through the rest of the squad, especially if like positivity flows when you're winning. But if we start like losing the game and stuff, and then it just, like arguments happen and stuff. So with Cavani as well, you touched on earlier. Cavani, I don't mind as much when he does the things like for the jet lag, because he's a player that we really have to like manage, it seems, with like his body and stuff, and that Ollie let him do stuff like that and Ralf let him do stuff like that, because he knows his body better than anyone, and because he is quite injury prone, we have to manage it. And now, especially now that we only have two strikers that are both in their mid-30s, so we have to be really careful. So if Cavani wants extra 2 days, touch wood, Ronaldo rarely gets injured, so Ronaldo can hold up the fort till Cavani's well enough to play anyway.
Especially because Cavani gives everything when he plays anyway. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, I don't mind it, because he like Ollie said, he's one of the best trainers he's ever seen. His professionalism is unmatched. He's not doing it not because he doesn't want to play for Man United. He's doing it so he can play more games and not get injured.
Mm-hmm. And to give his best.
This is it. We've got players like Cavani, and the situation that we've got with Cavani, and the club know this. We know that, like Alex says there, Beth, he has to manage himself at the age he is, and he's obviously going in the summer. We know that he has to look after himself, but it's like leaving us this short and giving Ralf nothing. You're going to get these problems coming around. It's a case of, what is Ralf going to do? How is he going to manage all these problems in one go? And the fact that the board have just left him so short, like Alex said, have caused him another problem. You've got Cavani doesn't want to play because he knows his body, like Alex says. You got Lingard, who has got, I don't know if he's got mental problems or if he is struggling right now, and he just plainly doesn't want to be at the club. But it's like literally impossible to manage that as a football manager, because it's past football reasons with Lingard, and Cavani, like Alex said, then he's part of the oldest strike force in the Premier League. That's our club. We've got no one else, and Sancho just coming back for family reasons, personal reasons as well. It's a bit of a mess up there. So let's get rid of all the forwards and leave him with nothing.
Well, when you look at it, I've just been thinking about it now. Against Middlesbrough, Lingard's not available, obviously. And obviously, if it is to do with mental health and stuff, obviously we accept that 100%. But it's just frustrating when a player who they should be showing professionalism, if he is purely not playing because he didn't get his move, I don't necessarily agree with that personally. But anyway, when you look at the striking options for the game tomorrow, you look at it and you're probably going to start with, I assume Pogba's going into the midfield, so you're going to start with Rashford on the left, Ronaldo up front, and Sancho on the right. You look at a bench, if they're not playing well, who have you got to bring on off that bench? Lingard's not there, he's not available. One matter? That is literally what you're looking at. One matter, and then youth players that obviously I want to see him get a chance, but if it's an important game, you can't expect them to come on and absolutely be a world beater straight away. So that squad is thin. It is very thin, and let's just hope we don't get injuries because, I mean, it's not looking great in terms of squad depth.
And it's not like with our players that they're, like I said about Ronaldo, isn't really that injury prone. But I mean, Sancho's had the odd knock. Rashford gets injured quite a lot. Pogba gets injured quite a lot.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Dalot playing like right wing at some point, or God, might see Fred turn into a left winger in the last 10 minutes again.
Could be pushing. It could be like
we could actually.
Jordan was saying about that when last time, or when we were on the show, Beth, where we were talking about how do you fit Bruno and Pogba into the same team. Maybe he does push Pogba into that left wing role again.
I just realised we've got Alanga as well, so that's one extra person.
Yeah.
We've got Alanga, which is very good, but again, he's still fresh, young, new, only just onto the scene. You can't rely on these players to put in performance.
Didn't he say that he's going to bring Hannibal into the team as well?
Well, that's it. I mean, we were going to touch on that as well, because you've now got a player like Hannibal who is coming into the team. Ralf has actually said that he's being brought into the first team squad. So is it a case of, okay, just there's another young player that's just going to take your spot? And again, just makes it look even more stupid that the board made this decision, because the board have told Rangnick one thing, he's staying, and Rangnick said, well, I'm going to play a youth player ahead of him. So it's like they're fighting against each other. It's like a polite way of Rangnick giving the board the middle finger, in my opinion, because like Beth said, I don't see Lingard starting a game, Alex. And if Hannibal comes in, I can actually see him starting ahead of Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. We saw with Alanga, if you give these youth players a chance, like especially in the situation this squad's in, that we have just so many unhappy players, it seems, a youth player is going to come in and they're going to give their absolute 100%. Also, even if their ability isn't quite yet at the level of some of these players like a Lingard, or as we saw with a Langer, of like a Rashford, Martial, whoever he was competing with at the time, then they'll make up for it in effort. And so it could be a chance. Like if Ralf is going to be in the consultancy role for 2 years, so he'll want to plan for the future. If Lingard's got his heart set on leaving like he seems to, then we should just play Hannibal, even if he isn't at the level of Lingard. It's like we're just planning for the future now.
Welcome to the Members Club. I hope I say this right. Adnav, it was a tough one for me to say that. Sorry if I got that wrong. But welcome to the Members Club. Anyone who does want to join the United Stand on the member scheme, press the join button on the main page of our YouTube channel. It's right next to the subscribe button. Just click on that there. Beth, on that, like Alex just said there, Alanga is the prime example. Hardly any game time at all in the first team last season. Rangnick's impressed with him. If Rangnick brings Hannibal into this first team squad, starts training them regularly with the first team, if he impresses, then like Alex says there, prime example with Alanga, he's going into that team and he's going to be staying in that team, because look at the players that Alanga's keeping out the side right now.
Exactly. And do you know what? I really want Hannibal to come into the team this season and come through. And to think that you've got I know Alanga was coming through at the end of last season, but he only really got picked because of the Europa League final. He rarely got chances. But to have Alanga and Hannibal both kind of come through this year would be a really, really good thing for the United Academy. It spurs on the academy players to know that they can get there if they put the effort in and train hard. And like you said, Alanga got into the team purely off training very, very well. Ralf put his trust in him. He went out there, he showed what he could do, put in a great performance. He stayed in the team and he's 100% going to get a lot more chances now because of that. And you've seen Hannibal play and for Tunisia as well. Like, he's a very good player, and we signed him for a decent amount of money when he did come in because of how talented he was, and he seemed to have blossomed a lot in the United Academy. And all you hear about this kid is good things, and when he played for Tunisia, you understand why you hear them things. And I honestly think putting him in there, like Alex said, above a Lingard that doesn't want to play for Manchester United, the quality he's got, I think he's 100% ready to come in and do something. And hopefully that can be our answer to the issues that we've got with the squad. Because you look at some other teams, and maybe not at the stature of Manchester United, but other teams that have had injuries and problems and squads running thin, and they do turn to youth players. I mean, look at Arsenal. They've brought through quite a few youth players who've managed to get a stint in the first team, and it's worked very well for them. And I do agree that youth players will give everything on that pitch, and if they've got the talent, if they've got the effort, then they 100% deserve a chance, because it's not as if there's miles and miles of competition there at the moment.
Maybe it is simply because we've got a manager in now, Alex, that is just going to say, look, I'm not putting up with any of these antics. He's told the board, he's told Lingard, you can go. I'm not bothered if you stay. You're still not going to play. Someone else is going to come in your place. And that is, like we said many times on previous shows, the way a United manager should be acting and the way he should be treating the players. If you take your opportunity, and we've seen it with the likes of Telles, with Dalot this season, they keep the place. Alanga, another example there. One player who isn't and hasn't been available for Rangnick is Paul Pogba. And he's talked today in his press conference that he may even be in the starting lineup against Borough tomorrow night. It's going to be really interesting, mate, because we spoke many times, especially over the last few weeks. Could Pogba have that moment? Could he be the shining light which changes the season completely around? It's one of them myths, and you just don't know what's coming. You could get the world-beating Paul Pogba all of a sudden. And I'm talking about the likes of Alanga, Hannibal, because Pogba's been in their shoes. He's come through the United youth system and been exactly where they are right now. He could actually be that role model to them in terms of a footballer. And like, he could see them players through and they could look up to him. And I'm clutching at straws, I know, mate, but it is there, isn't it? You know what I mean? They could gel with him and he could be that leader just out of the blue, out of nowhere, because of the way Rangnick is in bringing these youth players through. Paul Pogba could have a massive say towards the back end of this season.
Yeah, 100%. I've said before that when he plays to the best of his ability, I think he's our best player. But it's how often you get him playing to the best of his ability. But I've said before that I always wanted us to change to this 4-3-3, and that is going to be a thing that if he plays in that position, because I don't know we don't know if he'll even be a starter or if Bruno will be there or whatever. But if he plays in that left side of the three, then that's the place he obviously played for Juventus, and that's the place that he feels most comfortable in, and that we can get the best out of him. So he really will be a key thing. It seems that under Rangnick especially, we really seem to struggle to create chances because it seems like you cut off the flow from Bruno and then we literally create absolutely nothing. We signed Sancho to be a creative force, but he hasn't fully hit the ground running yet. And then we don't seem to get that much creativity, in my opinion, anyway, from the fullbacks or any of the wide players at the moment. So it really will come down to Pogba and Bruno. And at least when you have Pogba in, then it's not just solely relying on Bruno and you can have that other person because, like I said, you cut off Bruno and it's like ridiculous. Like the amount, like we're barely having any shots on target. Yet Bruno's like creation stats are still high. It's really weird, but it just seems we're just so like carried creatively by one player. But if Pogba just gives us his all till the end of the season, then he'll have my blessing to go. If he wants to leave, he wants to leave. He's been at United now 5 years, so he can go. But I still think he's a really, really important player if he can play to the best visibility, and I don't see any reason why he won't. But I fully understand why people don't like him in the sense of the whole circus that comes with him, and that we're now like 3-4 months from the summer window opening, and you're still getting stories saying, oh yeah, well now if Rangnick stays, he might still sign with United, and it's like you don't even know if he's going to even leave or if he's going to sign with United, if he's going to go to Real Madrid, PSG. You just hear different stories every week, and it is tiring, but he is a class player.
That's it. I mean, he's here to the end of the season, Beth. There's nothing anyone can do about that. We can put the conversation to bed about him going in the summer. He still has to play football this season. And you know what? As a professional, being in a team with younger players coming through could inadvertently be the making of him with Paul Pogba. You know what I mean? He's played with all the big names, but we've seen what he's like with France. He rises to the occasion as a leader with young players around him. And Pogba in there with the likes of Menga, with the likes of Dalot, Alanga. You know what I mean? He's not played with any of these players yet because we've not seen him since he played for Ole. So, you know what I mean, first time under Rangnick. And you know what? You just never know about him. He could actually be the player that actually sees us through to the end of this season.
Well, yeah, when Pogba got injured, actually, I was very worried because I thought we don't have a midfielder exactly like him, to be honest. And
what, we don't have a midfielder, Beth? Really? You don't have a midfielder?
And do you know what? The way he started the season, probably one of the best ways he started the season since we've had him, to be honest with you. And I was really excited for his season. I thought it was going to be one of his probably best seasons for us as a United player. But fortunately, he got injured, and that is the problem with Paul Pogba. He is quite injury prone, especially at this time of year when it is a really important time of the year, to be honest, when it comes to winning games and getting points on the board. But people slag Pogba off quite a lot, and in some ways, the way stuff's been handled around leaving the club hasn't been right. But as a player on the pitch, yes, he's been inconsistent. But when he turns up, he's a very, very good player for us. And yeah, I 100% agree he should be turning up every week for the wages on him and for the player he is. He 100% should be doing that. But even when you get him in them games, he's so crucial and very important. And I think when we're progressing the FA Cup and the Champions League as well, he's going to be a really important player to them games where it's like a cup final on them games, and he really should show up for them games, and he's important for us. I remember in the Europa League, I think he'd come back and he came on against Milan and he played really well and got us through that game. He's got them moments in him. He's got game-winning moments in him, and it seems like Rangnick really likes him as well, from the way he spoke about him, the way he's trained, and obviously we know how talented he is on the training ground as well. Every player comes out and says like he's ridiculous. Wish we got it more in the games, 100%. But him playing with Bruno, I'm really excited to see, because Bruno, when he's on his own, a lot of the creativity is purely down to him. He's got Pogba now, who's on his wavelength. They seem to really like playing together. They can link up as well, and hopefully, one, there'll be more creation. Two, something I'm really looking forward to is Pogba and Sancho actually playing together, because I think they could work really well together. The way that they both play football and the techniques, the one touch, the creation from that. So I do think he could be something that we put into the team to make the team tick now, and I'm choosing to be positive, as I usually am, and I'm hoping that he comes into the team and it does lift the team up and we start playing, because we know our defence is shored up, and that's one problem. If he comes in the 4-3-3 defensively, could be a problem. It really could be, but he's physical. He's seemed under Ollie, he started tracking back a lot more and getting about the pitch a lot more. His physicality was 10 times better. But in the going forward, in the attacking sense, when we've been struggling to create chances, that's where he's going to be the difference. I think the way that we've struggled to create chances over the last few weeks and since Rangnick came in charge, I think he's going to 100% improve that, because he's got so much talent there and he can create chances out of nothing.
Seniority as well, experience, big players like that. We're losing Pogba.
Well,
yeah. I mean, that could be key towards the end of this season with the young lads coming through, and hopefully they see enough, because, Alex, we're going to be losing quite a lot of senior players at the end of this season. Talking Cavani there. Pogba, we know he's probably going to go. We're only talking this now because we know he's here to the end of the season. Then we'll probably look to go elsewhere, probably Madrid. I'm guessing that's where I always thought he was going to go and where he wants to go. But Mark Ogden for ESPN is talking about Ronaldo as well, and the decision on the manager again. Ronaldo will wait until United announce the identity of their new manager before deciding on his future at Old Trafford. But that decision may be taken out of his hands if the new boss chooses to move in a direction that doesn't include him or even doesn't suit him. This was always going to be key. I think I've spoke with a few people privately regarding Ronaldo, mate, and if we didn't make Champions League, I'd have thought, does he really want to spend his last year in the Europa League? I couldn't see it. He sort of looks frustrated constantly at the moment. He sort of feels like I do as a fan. That's what I look at. When he storms off the pitch, it's all I want to do when the game finishes. I just want to storm out of Old Trafford. I'm in a mood, I'm grumpy. And you see the quality that he is. And this managerial decision is going to be big, mate. It's going to be key, because it's going to take a lot of convincing, no matter what happens in this season, to keep Ronaldo on the books, I think, because he's not happy now. God forbid we don't make top four. I think it's going to be a real problem in keeping Ronaldo. And that seniority, like I just said there, mate, Cavani, Pogba, Ronaldo, all in one summer. There's not much left, mate, really, in terms of experience and winning experience within this team. We've got experience, mate, but is it that quality experience? There's a few players there that if they're all out with this team, where do we go next? I mean, can you see Ronaldo staying at the end of this season?
I put a tweet out the other day saying about that our team in the 23-24 season is going to be like completely different from what we see today, because it's not only this summer, like the following summer, it's like De Gea is up and like loads of other, I've seen the list, I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but the list is insane how many big players are going. But you can look at it in one way that, okay, we're losing a lot of experience, but then the other way is if there is this much toxicity in the club and we do need a rebuild, then that is so much wages off the wage bill with the likes of Lingard, Martial, Pogba, Ronaldo, especially if Ronaldo leaves. like we're going to have to be the biggest spenders either way this summer because of the sheer numbers that we're losing. We're losing now, obviously, with Greenwood gone, and then now Ronaldo and Cavani potentially. So if Ronaldo leaves, that's all of our strikers gone. So we're going to need at least 2 strikers to bring in the summer. And then you look, and it's like the two managers that we're most likely going to get is going to be Poch and Ten Hag. I personally think it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Poch, but you see, like both their style of play ideally would be that they play a pressing style of play, which obviously Ronaldo is not suited for. But it's like, are you going to come into a club and say I'm gonna get rid of like your most marketable asset because we know how much United care about stuff like that. And it's like they'll say, like, because obviously Poch has just gone to PSG where the front three don't press at all, so they'll say, well, we've just come from a club like that they don't do it. But it's a really difficult one. It's like it wouldn't surprise me at all if what Beth said in the WhatsApp group the other day, but I'd thought of it as well about that if we do get Poch and then he tries to sign Kane, because obviously Kane wants to leave. Kane wants to leave Spurs. We'd be stupid enough to pay the amount of money that they'd want, especially now that we will have so much money to spend hopefully so much money to spend because we're losing so many big players and so much wages off the wage bill.
What if Spurs finish ahead of us in the Champions League?
It's still a step up from United Spurs. I understand
it.
It.
Mate, it's with the players that are leaving. I don't see United getting back in.
Sorry?
They've got a better manager in Conte.
I think they have a better manager, but he, like Kane and Poch, everyone knows their relationship, how much they got on. So that it would be like the Poch effect. Obviously, Conte is an infinitely better manager than Poch, and I would way rather have Conte as our manager. But from a purely Harry Kane perspective, he would be able to convince him. But the thing is, Kane now is he on the downward turn? You don't know if it's just like being unhappy with his form this season, but he also has like a massive injury in him, and the amount of money he'd cost it's such a massive gamble. I wouldn't personally want it, but then like you then look like obviously the club have been long-term admirers of Haaland, and I thought maybe because of the Oli connection that there would be a small chance that we could get Haaland, but I think now there's way too much competition, especially if we don't have Champions League. That's a no-go. So I have no clue what we're going to do. I don't know if Ronaldo would leave, but because it's like, where's he going to go? Potentially, like, I don't know, like Real Madrid, maybe would they take him back? But aside from that, I can't think. He's obviously gone to Juventus already. He's not going to go back there. He's not going to go to another English club. Bayern wouldn't want him. So it's like, unless he's going to go to the MLS early, it would just be between that or staying at United for another season. And I personally think he'd stay at United because he wants to still play at the highest level. Obviously, if we're not in the Champions League, but he still has Premier League. He still would love to win a trophy, I'm sure, with this United team. And obviously, the 450k a week doesn't hurt.
And Beth, does he suit Ronaldo going forward? Does Rangnick, if he gets the job, and let's not count him out, let's not count Rangnick out of this just yet, because you know what his board's like. I mean, you're going to have to play 2 games and 2 pointless games, and you're part of the squad, and you need to stay. That's a Jesse Lingard joke, by the way. You didn't pick up what I was meaning by that. But honestly, Beth, look at it. Would Ronaldo like to be playing under Rangnick next season if he gets the job? Is this going to be a case of whoever the manager comes in is why Ronaldo is leaving his club? Like Alex said then, he may still want to finish his career at United, where it all pretty much started. No disrespect to Sporting, I know that's where he started, but where he made his name. But if the manager isn't right, is that going to be why Ronaldo leaves more than us not being in the biggest competitions like the Champions League?
To be honest, I don't think Ronaldo will leave anywhere. I really don't. But I think when it comes down to other players and possibly Ronaldo, I think I was speaking to Jordan about this, and he said that he doesn't matter about Champions League when it comes to signings, and I just completely like it does when the amount of players that are leaving that we.
Did Beth just disappear off my screen?
Yeah, mine too. She's frozen now. What do you think on that Champions League point that Beth was just saying? Because it's like, I've had this debate with my mates before talking about that. It's like, do you think that Champions League is actually that massively important to people? Because I can understand if you're at like Real Madrid or something.
I believe
you'd want them to be in the Champions League, or Barcelona. But if you're like at a club, like say United have Europa League and Spurs have Champions League, take away them having Conte out the equation. Let's just say they still had Poch and we had Ollie or something. I still think a player comes to United over Spurs.
Yeah,
And likewise, they'd come to United over Arsenal if Arsenal got Champions League with like Arsenal and Arteta in the Champions League.
I do believe I'm just going to remove best face there because someone else just clip that and destroy it. But I actually believe that what's happening now with Lingard, players start talking, it starts spreading, and United don't get that same sort of appeal. I don't think. I think if United are in the Champions League, them Champions League nights at Old Trafford can't be beaten, and I think that is going to be a law. We've seen how much player power players have got now, and what they say basically is their lifestyle is all about that move, isn't it? It's the city, it's where they're going. If you ain't got Champions League, then I do believe that the player isn't going to come. I actually think now, if you was offered Conte, Spurs, Champions League over United and the mess they're in right now, unless it was an absolutely astronomical amount of money and Mino Raiola was your agent and he was trying to take United to the cleaners, then I think Spurs are actually winning the battle.
It depends as well, because I think if, like, for example, a player we're heavily linked with, Spurs aren't, but it's Declan Rice. I think an English player, you choose United over Spurs any day.
I think that has a little bit of an appeal, and we've seen our record with big English players, Beth, and we're just talking then about the law. Does the Champions League count? You was just about to get into it there. I mean, if we were in the Champions League, I could see, I see what Alex is saying there. His point with the big English players, maybe there's still a law of Manchester United there. But do you really think that Champions League is the be-all and end-all for English players and the big European players coming in?
I think it's a massive thing now. Everyone wants to play in the Champions League, even the English players. And Manchester United has not got the same pull it used to. It really doesn't, especially after everything that's gone on over the last year or so, especially the fact we've not won a trophy. And I don't even remember what was the last trophy.
It was the
Europa League.
Europa.
Europa
League. So long
exactly.
ago.
Like, we've not won a trophy since then, since Jose was in charge, and even that ended up being a disaster in the end. And we've just not had a good track record. And I do think Manchester United is not seen in the same light as it was. I still think, obviously, we still have a little bit of that pull, and I do see us as a club that's on the rise. I think that we're going to get Champions League football, but it's still not nailed on, and that's a problem. I do think a lot of rides in the Champions League, if Declan Rice is taking a step up, let's just take that as an example. He's taking a step up. He wants to be in the Champions League. He's going to want to take that step up to play in the Champions League. Harry Kane, if Spurs get Champions League this season and we don't, he's not going to want to leave a club that he loves, that's just got Champions League football, to come to United where everything's falling apart and we don't have Champions League football. So I think Champions League is massive. I think Ronaldo will stay even if we don't get Champions League, to be honest, because like Alex said, there's not that many options when you look at it. And plus, I don't think he'd want to end his second spell at United this way. I think he'll still think in his head, because that's the type of guy he is, that he could win something with us, and he'll want to do that before he leaves. So I don't think he'll leave at the end of the season if we haven't won anything. And I just think with the amount of players that are leaving, Champions League is a necessity, really, if we want to get the good players in with leadership skills. Because obviously we can go out and buy some players, some youth players to come through, like players that are young and coming onto the scene and to establish themselves. We can go and scout out them players, but you'll still need to bring in some players that are already established. And to do that, when you've got the competition of Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, even teams like that, you're going to need Champions League football, or else it's just an obvious pick to go to that other team. It's like Haaland. Not that I don't think we'll get Haaland even if we do get Champions League football, but he would never, ever, ever leave a club now to a club that hasn't got Champions League football. For a lot of players, it is a must. So I think it's massive that we do try and get that spot this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Champions League spot, but I still bring back the point, and it's the manager debate. Again, if Rangnick is still in charge come the end of the season, then it's not only Ronaldo. I can see a few other players. I can see problems for Wan-Bissaka. I seriously can. I don't think that guy is getting back into this team under Ralf Rangnick. I think he's made his mind up with him, and it's quite clear that Dalot was not getting a look in until Rangnick came in, and Rangnick's the only one who's actually seen Wan-Bissaka and his dip in form. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it. He's apparently been turning up late to training. He seems like another one of these problem sort of players, Alex, for Rangnick. He's obviously banned now as well from driving.
Which doesn't help getting turning up to
endless
training.
problems again. If there's so many English players not getting in this English squad or anywhere near this English squad, there's a bad mentality going on behind the scenes or something, mate, innit? Because we can roll off all the English players right now and they're all struggling to get into that England squad.
The only one that was getting picked regularly is now the one that isn't available as well.
But the thing,
he was getting picked every game.
The thing is as well, like when you look at buying players for the summer, we've all said, I don't know if you said, Adam, that we wouldn't want Kane. But Kane wouldn't even want to come to us if we have no Champions League, despite even if we want him or not. Like that's how far gone we are, and winning is the way you get players on.
Yeah, it needs some serious sweeteners in his tea to get to United if we didn't have Champions League football. I mean, the guy's always, and everyone's been wanting, said the only problem Harry Kane, the only issue he's ever had, he's not been decorated enough. He ain't got enough trophies. And we're looking at 5 years, Alex, with no trophy. What would give you as a player any sort of, that's half a decade. At least that's all he's got left in his career. And are we in a position right now to be challenging for anything?
There is a way that you can get players like that, but we're obviously not linked with those sorts of managers. It's like when Jose came in, we didn't have Champions League because it's Jose Mourinho. He was still able to get Zlatan. He was still able to get Pogba and all these players because of like the big name that he is. But with Poch and Ten Hag, like Ten Hag is a bit of an unknown quantity outside of Ajax. And then Poch, it's like, I reckon a lot of the players would have similar opinions to what the fans do about in terms of his ability. So it is the question. Like I feel like because we offer players such ridiculous wages, and I really want that change in the whole wage structure reform, but I don't see it changing. So we'll be able to get players in just for money. And do you want players that just come in for the money?
The thing is as well, you reap what you sow. In Manchester United, the way that they've dealt with the Lingard thing with West Ham, even if we even try and go in for Declan Rice, they're gonna give us a hard bargain if we want to buy him. It'll be serious amounts of money we'll have to buy him.
He's saying 200 mil, isn't he, David Moyes?
That's the thing, and no one wants to deal with United because they know the border what they are. We're a laughing stock in the transfer business. It's a problem. It's a serious problem.
And why would you want to slip? Why would you want to wake the sleeping giant? You hit well. You strike while the iron's hot. If United are struggling, you don't help them out in any way, shape, or form. West Ham would look at it now and go, "This is our chance here. We're actually competing alongside United right now." And it pains me to even say that, but we're getting no favours off any club in this division. Not a one. We don't get anything off the big six. That's a rule on its own. Let's not forget what happened with the Super League and the fallout from that as well. So no one else is going to help Manchester United out. We're digging our own grave at the moment in the way we're acting. And I look at it and go, God, it may even go down as far as all of these big names going, getting none of these big names in and trying to build from within under a manager like Ten Hag or Poch without the big names and big signings. And then we're going to see the fan base turn. And the fan base has just got that wound up because there's been no success for so long. We're sort of stuck at a crossroads of, I understand the rebuild, but I want a trophy. If you want a full rebuild, you don't get a trophy. That is the problem. It's going to take a while, and the pressure from the pundits, Alex, and everyone coming in on it, and then you start, and then the board kicks in, and that's the mess that we're in right now. It's
no place as well to bring kids through at the moment with how we're playing and just like all the toxicity around it. Really isn't like a good environment to be in. Like Foden, like at City, obviously he's being brought through really to perfection of like he got really, really slowly eased in. Some were saying like too slowly and that he should have been phased in sooner than he was. But because City have been so dominant, it's like he can just come in and he doesn't have to worry as much because he knows that the whole system functions around him. It's like at United, it's like you're under so much pressure as soon as you come in. But then you could argue then like you see Elanga come in and he plays without fear because he knows this is my one opportunity. But we have a lot of youth players that people want to blood in. Like you have like Mengi, Hannibal, you have Shoretire and stuff. And then now there's a massive opening for a striker with Charlie McNeil. I know he's not ready, but he'll be looking at like that chance that he might get like maybe like next season, end of next season or something. But it's just really worrying to me about like I said, the striker situation, because if Ronaldo leaves and Cavani leaves, we literally do not have a striker. You can say Rashford, but Rashford is not a good striker. But you can say okay, Martial could come back. I don't know how long's left on his contract. I think he'd have 1 year left, so he'd go the following summer. So maybe Martial tears it up in Sevilla and then comes back and he can be it. And we might not have a choice because we can't necessarily buy like the 8 players or something we need. We could go now into another summer where we said last summer, we said the season before that we need this holding midfielder. But because we've lost so many players, we could now come in here and then not get a holding midfielder again because you need to get a Pogba replacement. You need to bring in 2 strikers. We might need to bring in a right back if we get rid of Wan-Bissaka and things like that. And it all just piles up again.
Well, this is what I'm looking at. I look at, if Wan-Bissaka goes, I bring in Laird.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
That's that. I look
They'll
at
say, okay, Ghana for a holding mid.
You know what I mean? I know it's where it is, but everyone sort of talks about the blueprint Beth of Ajax. Oh, it's brilliant. Look how they do it. But then all of a sudden the fans are like, we can't have this many. We need to go and buy it. We're Man United. We need to be buying the biggest names. We've been doing that for 8 years since Alex Ferguson left. And it has won us what? Absolutely nothing. We need to trust in a manager's process, a real manager, a coach, someone who knows what they're doing, has got a proper plan. We've just not done that. We've not given anyone the time. And I do believe that staying away from the big names is probably the safest bet for United right now, because we're talking about the best youth system to come through. Without the big prima donnas in the team, like Alex said, then that's easier for the youth players to come into. So is it not time that we actually sort of trusted our own system instead of looking out for these gems, may not create the gems and bring in the players that specifically do that job in that position, like that holding midfielder, prioritize what's needed instead of just going out buying flashy lights and new toys, which is what United do every single summer. Biggest fear is, after what they did with Lingard, I don't think anyone's going to have any say, and that's the problem. I think the board are running the club at the moment from top to bottom, including what happens on the pitch. And I said hands tied behind his back, Beth, but honestly, as a manager now, or who you want in charge, Beth, say we couldn't get a Ten Hag, we couldn't negotiate that deal. Would you rather have a Poch or a Rangnick in charge of next season? Just out of curiosity.
It's one of them decisions that you're going to split opinions on it, but I've just never been a fan of Pochettino. I'm not going to lie. I'm just really not a fan of him. And if he came in, I'd support him, and I'd hope that he'd change my mind around it. But for me, he's been to the Premier League. He's done Southampton, which he did a very good job at. And he's done Spurs, which he also did a good job at, I have to admit. But I don't think he's United's level. I don't personally. At PSG, I know you can say he's got egos and that's the problem that it's been, but if you've seen the amount of trophies he's missed out on, and I don't like the thought of bringing someone back that's been sacked by Tottenham to manage United and then starting that whole saga again. I'd rather bring someone new, fresh, upcoming in like a Ten Hag, or I'd rather stick with Rangnick, who for me is making improvements. I really do think that he is making improvements. Do I think he's the manager for the foreseeable now? No, I don't. I'm not that convinced. I think if he continues to make improvements, then that's a good sign. But I would go, for me, United have got to try and get Ten Hag in now. He's got a good style of football. He's done amazing stuff for the Ajax team. He said he's ready himself to take the next step up. And often people say, yeah, but they're not Premier League proven. No, but sometimes you get managers in, they adapt to the Premier League, and that's the next big manager that everyone's talking about. And personally, for me, I don't like the thought of Pochettino. So if it was Pochettino or Rangnick, at the moment, from the way Rangnick's progressing, if he continues to progress in that direction, I would be on for Rangnick personally.
Rangnick, apparently, I seen a stat the other day, Alex. It said since he's been in charge of Manchester United, it's only Pep Guardiola who's taken more points. I was like,
yeah,
is that true? Is that
yeah,
true?
It's like we think like that because I saw our stats under Rangnick, and I was like, oh wait, they're actually really not that bad at all. But with all the doom and gloom, you'd think we'd have like 5 losses and stuff. His stats and like the amount of like goals conceded and stuff is actually good. I know the goals haven't started flowing yet, and the creativity is quite bad, but he has to build for the foundations from the back again to then move forward. And with like what you were saying, if Ten Hag isn't available, which I have a strong feeling based on his comments. They sounded more like a come and get me to City than United, because that goes against everything. Well, what he was describing is exactly how United.
If we don't get him, City 100% are going to get him.
100%. But then I was thinking, with the German connection, that my dream manager who I wanted, would he be available, like not this summer, but then the next summer, is Nagelsmann potentially. But could he then, if Bayern maybe got rid of him?
Whoa.
And now Alex is gone.
No, Alex went like that. I'm not cutting anyone off tonight. It's not me, guys. I promise.
Adam is doing his quick substitutions again.
It was right in the flow then as well. He's actually come back now. Actually, I think he just swiped. So
annoying when that happens. I would really want Nagelsmann. I know it's very unlikely, but okay, the logic still works. That if it's Pochettino or Rangnick, I'm on the same boat as Beth. That I would rather just stick with Rangnick. He does, like, we're not perfect at the moment, but it's only been like 10 games. He does a lot of stuff that I like. Like I love having a manager that, number one, is really honest. Like, I know some people don't like that like hearing the stuff like under Ollie, you never would have heard about Martial refusing to play. You never would have heard about Lingard refusing to play. But I personally like having a manager that's honest with us. I feel like he's strict, but not to the levels that Jose was, that then turns the players against you. And he's shown that he's coming. He's not afraid to make the big decisions and like drop players who were people's favourites and things like that. And he's not afraid to drop people out of form. Even like with Maguire, like we'll never know now what would have happened if Lindelof didn't get broken into, because now it could have opened up the door that Maguire's now a regular again. But before that, Lindelof was starting over Maguire. So he's not afraid to make all these big decisions. So I'd rather stick with Rangnick for another year or so and then wait until a better manager becomes available, because Poch, I know we get in so many arguments of this in the WhatsApp group, but I completely agree with Beth. It's just, it would be like, I got, like, when we got Moyes, okay, I hated Moyes, but after that, like, LVG I was excited for, Jose I was really excited for, Ollie I was like, oh, this is something new, I'm excited for, Rangnick I was excited for. But then if we get Pochettino, I'll just be like so like deflated as soon as he comes in. You don't want to just have that feeling, like you want to be excited about the new manager, new era and stuff. But I just wouldn't be like remotely excited, because it's like I can't like dream of winning like the Premier League again or the Champions League, because he has no pedigree in doing that. And it's like,
I've seen as well that Tuchel had a better win percentage of PSG than Poch has.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and as well, like, I know people rate Pochettino, but he should have won the league with Tottenham that year.
Would you have been?
And he should have won a lot of things. He's not won trophies. Pardon?
That list that you're talking about was very damning.
Yeah, would you have been happy with Pochettino 2 years ago? Would it have been better?
Is this when he left Tottenham?
Yeah, if he was waiting in the wings, he'd done his time. He didn't go to PSG. He did that interview on Sky, didn't he, on the Monday Night Football, I think, when he first came back on the scene.
When he was like trying to bait himself for the United job.
Yeah, when he was trying to do it. Would that have been better? I think the PSG sort of tenure is really, I think it's tarnished his reputation that he sort of had. I mean, he just ran out of time at Spurs. Couldn't go any further. And let's be honest, with Levy, no funds available. Everyone was sort of like, okay, let's give him a chance with a bit of money. But I think with what's happened with PSG, a lot of people are looking at him now and going, nah. I can see yours and Alex's face, and it's like so underwhelming.
It is underwhelming for me, because one, being a manager of Spurs is underwhelming. Like, I don't see Spurs as like I don't see them as like a great team, to be honest with you. He did right. I think he's a good manager. I think what he did with Southampton was great, and I think he got Spurs playing good football, and he got them to a semi-final of a Champions League, for God's sake. He got them to a final of a Champions League. So he did stuff with that Spurs team that you didn't think would have happened. But looking back on it, do I think he's a manager for United? No, I agree with Alex. It would be so deflating for me to see him come to United. I was shocked when he went to PSG, to be honest with you, to go to that level. And even PSG, if he's not impressing there in the French league, not to be disrespectful, coming into this Manchester United team the way it is now is a tough job. And I feel like it just needs someone fresh. And Erik ten Hag, for me, is a fresh manager that can come in. And Ralf Rangnick was a fresh manager, and I think he's done well so far. He didn't start great, and things definitely need to improve. The attacking sense of things, we need to create more chances. The he's learnt from mistakes about not making changes to win games, and that's going to happen when a manager's not used to the Premier League. It's going to happen, but he's changed them things, and like Ali said, he's honest, he's direct, and he knows football. He's built clubs from top to bottom. He knows what he wants, and I think he would actually deal with Ronaldo as well very well being in the team. He seems to like him. He seems to want to play him, which is important. And when speaking about would you have taken Poch them years ago, I just don't think he's the right fit for Manchester United, in my opinion. I don't know what I would have thought back then, because then I probably would have had a different opinion. But now, now not for me.
Comes into the equation again, Alex, that United always are never there when a certain manager's available. We always miss out on the ones that we really should have got at that time, don't it, mate?
Yeah, we never seem to get them in their prime. Like Jose would obviously I think he would have been perfect straight after Fergie.
If he was in his prime, I wanted Jose to work me, but
But and I wanted Conte like this because before he went to Spurs, because he's literally in his prime, and I think we would have won something with Conte. But just to go back to Poch quickly as well, like 2 massive red flags is that I've always disliked about him is, number one, I personally don't like the way he treats the FA Cup and the EFL Cup, how he always talks down about them, that he doesn't care about going out of them. You can't be a Man United manager and like only care about the Premier League and Champions League. Obviously, they're the 2 most important. But we want to win everything, and that's just so small time. Considering you have never won the Premier League or the Champions League, you can't have that arrogance. If it was like Klopp or Pep,
he won an FA Cup,
yeah, exactly. Like if Klopp's won the Premier League and Champions League, and he always disrespects the FA Cup. City can't really disrespect it because their B team is better than everyone else's A team. But with Klopp, he disrespects it, but he actually wins the Premier League. He actually wins the Champions League, so that's fair enough. But Poch has never won anything, and he acts like that. And then number 2. I'm like pretty sure I'm right about this because I remember ages ago they were saying on Sky Sports during one of our games that when he's still at Tottenham, that his away record, I think he had like 1 or maybe even 0 wins against the Big 6 away from home in the Premier League. He obviously had that. I can't remember. Did they win that game against City where the Sterling goal was disallowed in the Champions League, or was it a draw? Or was it still a loss actually? God. Even on goal difference. Yeah, but anyway, that was just the Champions League. But in the Premier League. In the Premier League, he's literally like his away record is absolutely diabolical away from home. Which, if you want to challenge for a league title anyway, you can't. And people could say about their squad, but that Spurs squad at that time was actually really good. And like Beth said, when they were in that days, having like Prime Kane, Prime Son, they had like Alderweireld, Vertonghen, all those players. Doing well. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ali back when he was a good player. That they should have won that in the season. Leicester won the league, and they came. It was we always joke about that they came third in a 2-horse race because they were like so far clear and stuff. And Arsenal, I think, finished above them in the end. And it's just like when it matters, he just bottles it, and I just really, really don't want him. But like what you said, we got Jose when he was past his best. We got LVG when he was past his best. I just wanted a manager that we get when he's in his prime, and that's why I wanted Conte. I know that people didn't want Conte, and maybe it wouldn't have worked out with the board and stuff. But he's a born winner, and he 100% would have won stuff with this squad. And then now, like a smart team would go pull out all the stops to get Ten Hag, which is what City will do. And then he'll go there and he'll kill it at City because they go for managers that are actually in their prime, and we'll end up getting another past it manager, and we'll be back to square one.
Oh, so positive.
I'm just to finish the show, Alex. There, lovely. Thanks, mate. I'm back at the game tomorrow, mate. I need something. I've got to do my road trip and everything. I've got to start cheering myself up again. But on that, before we finish up, Beth, what sort of team are you expecting tomorrow, and how do you see it going, Beth?
I expect a full strength team. It'll be interesting to see if he starts Dallo and Tellez at fullbacks, because that's one that's been under question for a while, whether they're actually the starting fullbacks now. I'd like to see Shaw given his chance again. I do expect to see Pogba come. I think we'll see Bruno, Pogba, McTominay as the midfield 3, if I'm honest with you.
I hope so.
And then we'll have a front 3 of probably Rashford, Ronaldo, and
getting me more. This is more like it. This is it.
And I'm excited because it's a full strength team, and this is our
Sancho
team.
Available?
I think so.
I think so. You know what?
I haven't heard
one of the anomalies, isn't he?
Because obviously he wasn't available before.
Shaw will start because Tellez is not available. Well, that's the thing. I do think we'll see see our full strength team for the rest of the season
Yeah.
tomorrow. So hopefully all goes well against Middlesbrough and we get through.
Confirmed
Because
starting.
do you know what? Some people don't really rate the FA Cup games. I really like them, and it's an opportunity to get far in a competition to win a trophy. So hopefully, and you can't underestimate Middlesbrough because they will really
they're in good form as well.
And they're in good form. So we struggled at Norwich. Like, let's remember that. So hopefully we'll do well tomorrow.
Yeah. 9,000 Middlesbrough fans there tomorrow as well, Alex. So it will be a very good atmosphere. They're taking the whole of the top tier of the East Stand and the other away section, the normal away section as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a good atmosphere. Like Beth said, if anything there, with the Middlesbrough fans coming in their numbers, the form that they're in, like you said, it should actually be an all right game. And United can't take them for granted. And that's why I do believe, I don't know if you think, mate, that we will see a strong United team tomorrow.
100%. I agree with Beth. I'd go completely full strength. It'll just be interesting to see who starts out of Lindelof and Maguire. But the other, because obviously we don't want to rotate too much. So the other change, like what Beth said again, is Pogba coming in. And I think if there is a game that you can experiment playing Pogba and Bruno with McTominay in, it would be against a Championship side at home. So it's not going to be a safer game for us to try again. But it will be a really hard game. They're in really good form in the Championship. So it'll be a tough game, but it should be good.
I wonder if he'll start Elanga or Rashford.
This is it.
After
a break.
I
do think, like I said, I think Elanga will
I think
probably
Elanga
start.
and Rashford, and they'll bench Sancho.
Yeah, probably, to be fair.
Yeah. Who do you reckon will play on the right? Rashford?
Yeah. I don't mind Rashford on the right, contrary to what people
scored both of them goals from the right recently.
Goals from...
I think he passes more when he's on the right as well.
Yeah,
that PSG away goal that he scored again was from right wing as well.
Do you know what? Even Ricky wouldn't have a problem with Rashford being on the right every now and then because he's a right footer and he's playing on the right. That's what he wants. Hopefully we'll get Ricky back on this weekend as well. But guys, that's it for the show. We're all done and dusted. We will all be back this weekend. Fan forums tomorrow night. I'm guessing me and Beth are at the game. Don't forget, guys, do come up and see us outside. Get your views on United Stand as well. If you want to be on a fan vlog, come and see us outside the East Stand after the game. Me and Beth will both be there. And hopefully talking about a United win and into the 5th round of the FA Cup. But Alex, cheers for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let's hope for a positive result and a bit of positivity around the club this week. It can't be any worse than last week.
Yeah. Beth going for, I think it's 3 or 4 wins in a row now. So good luck tomorrow, hopefully, and I will see you there. We'll see everyone else there. But cheers for coming on tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. Nothing worse than 8 p.m. and then you just don't play well and it's a bad result. So hopefully it's a good result and we're coming away happy tomorrow.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know why the excitement of the FA Cup has disappeared slightly, it's that kickoff time tomorrow. That's why. I'm telling you that for nothing right now. No one wants to play at 9 o'clock on a Friday. I think there's even a game on at 8:30 or 8 on a Saturday night as well, isn't there? Someone's playing. Jeez. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. But guys, everyone in the comments, all the super chats, cheers for tuning in tonight. Do give the video a like, subscribe to the United Stand. We will see you over the weekend. Road trip's back up tomorrow, guys. Friday night road trip. Wow, I never thought I'd be doing that, but it's happening. And then we'll be there after the game and everything that comes along with a match day. Mark's doing a watch along and everything that comes after the show. Guys, for now, though, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully, United win tomorrow. We'll see you then. Have a good one, people.